hello, and welcome back to the Tao Manifesting Tarot, the audio edition, the tarot reading for people who want to manifest. That's why it's audio. If you are watching yet another video, which we're so trained to do, and in fact, our life in the 3D is very much a video, right? Things moving, and we're kind of used to that sort of a thing. But when you are not participating and you're just simply watching a video, you dumb yourself down. You shrink your imagination because you have to be able to follow the pictures, right? So if they give you something scary, it's the special effects that replace your imagination. If they give you something that's beautiful, it's the vision. And while indeed that may be beautiful, and while indeed the other thing may be scary, it's not your imagination filling in the blanks. And that's very, very important. We are so initially distracted. I think that's one of the great weaknesses of television. You know, they call it programming. You know, the boob tube when I was growing up. That's what it is. You are passively letting somebody else present their ideas to you, their vision of the world to you. And because you're passive, you're in kind of an alpha state, you accept them without question. The problem is that's not you directing your life, that's not building your imagination, and it takes you down a pretty dark hole. You can see that by the world around you right now. What the powers that be need from all of us is to be distracted. Okay? The more stuff they can throw at us, the better. Because we can't keep track of all of it, and eventually we just get mentally fatigued and just go, the hell with it, I don't care. That's when they got you. So that's what this reading is all about. We have two rows, bottom row, top row, of course. The two middle cards, bottom and top row, are critical. We begin with the bottom row middle card. Totally appropriate. All that glitters. All that glitters. The expression is all that glitters is not gold, right? But again, it talks about distractions. I think many cases, if you've ever seen this, you've ever seen like a cat, somebody has like a little laser beam, little thing that they can move along the floor, right? They can shine on the floor and the cat will chase it. That's the way we are. Oh, get this car. Oh, get these pair of shoes. Oh, get this house, live here, do this, do that, do that. They're manipulating you, and they're doing it by distracting you. Now, at first that feels very good. At first that feels very good. But it's not long before that trip down the yellow brick road where you find out all that glitters is not gold, and we're at that point now. So now is the time for you to really develop your manifesting tool, your brain. And that's why this is an audio version. It enhances your ability to create the images, the feelings in your head where it should be. Not against television, not against video. But it has become our sole entertainment thing. We are so sucked in to the technology that at this point it's hard for people to even see a way out. That's the problem. For you, however, you're at that point. You understand that all that glitters is not gold. It's not what it's cracked up to be. So we move to the first card, bottom row, left side, Eight of Swords. Swords are thoughts, ideas. Very appropriate to this discussion. And it talks about restriction, right? You can see her there, bound and gagged with swords, thoughts, ideas, all around her. But she is really not trapped. The only thing that's trapping her is herself, the way she's thinking. Grief, despair, distress, almost desolation. I give up. But there's no reason to. You see the picture. All she has to do is move forward. And she's kind of standing on a little stream of water, emotion. So she's blocked and locked. Her thoughts are keeping her prisoner. And that's all there is, because if she walked forward, she could eventually get loose of the bonds, get loose of the swords, and then take off the blindfold and go, ooh, all that glitters isn't gold. So she, like the rest of us, is placing herself in her own prison. Stuff that she's been told has affected what she thinks, and because of that, she's given up her power. Enter the Queen. Next card over. Queen of Swords. The kings come up with the pronouncements, but the queens take care of business. And the Queen of Swords is very perceptive, very clever, very realistic, straight talking, straight thinking. No BS with her. That being the case, now apply that energy to the previous card, Eight of Swords, where the person is really trapping themselves with their thoughts. They were other people's thoughts, but they've taken them to be their own, like we all do, right? And it's that thinking that's weakening her, and it's the Queen of Swords that says, wait a minute, let's take a real good look at this whole situation, huh? Let's get realistic. Let's do some straight talking, straight thinking. With that will come a revelation, the Eight of Wands. I love wands because they're positivity, excitement, enthusiasm. They're actually the joy of life. And the Eight of Wands means things are starting to speed up. They're moving again, and they're moving in a very positive direction. It could be that all this thinking stuff, and especially encouraged by the Queen of Swords, all this thinking stuff is really having a positive effect. And you're beginning to put the parts and pieces together of the jigsaw puzzle you call your life, and you're going, ooh, I got the picture. I got the picture. And it's not the picture that they painted for me. Wow. Eight of Wands. And the wow factor, Knight of Swords. Knights always bring gifts, and the Knight of Swords is no different. Brings inspiration, revelation, incisiveness. You begin to think and subsequently act with certainty. So here we go. First card of the bottom row, Eight of Swords, you're trapped in your own thoughts. Queen of Swords says, stop it, let's move ahead, let's get straight. Things begin to pick up inside you. Maybe you even get a little spot of information. And the Knight of Swords says, let's go forward. With this new thinking, new idea, new perspectives, new possibilities, let's go forward. Let's go to the upper row here. Interesting thing in the upper row, I see back to back, the first card on the left and the one right next to it. First card is Two of Pentacles. Next card, Two of Wands. Twos are always decisions. Decisions. Well, if you think about what we just talked about in the first row, it makes sense. Two of Pentacles especially, there's a change in thinking, a change in values. What do you really value and why? Is it because they're telling you it's important? Is it because they're telling you it's safe and effective? Is this what you're doing? You've given up your thought process like that Eight of Swords down below? You surrendered? Or do you value yourself, your basic God-given intelligence? You may not have a lot of school intelligence, and frankly, a lot of times I see people with school intelligence who are actually pretty dumb because they've given up the capacity to think for the capacity to memorize. So you can take a test and you can pass, but that's not life. That's not life. And the Two of Pentacles says change your values. They need serious refreshing. You got to make a decision. And the Two of Wands says, where are you going to go with this? What do you want out of your life? What do you want for yourself? Well, the Two of Wands says you want the best choice that creates positivity, enthusiasm, passion, joy of life. So you're going to have to change your sense of values. What is important to you? This is something that you're going to have to determine for yourself. But in so doing, you create a better possibility for a better life for you because you are choosing for you, not somebody else choosing for you. And to kind of keep that idea going, how about the Ten of Wands? Ten of Wands is always dropping the burden. What other people have expected from you, what other people have said to you, what other people have done to try to affect you or to change you, Ten of Wands says, done. Done. All that kind of stuff that I've had to swim through just to make you feel good and maybe make me feel like I belong, done. Yeah, overwhelmed, overworked, overloaded, and you've hit that point. That's what's pushing you to make the decision in terms of your values. That's what's pushing you to find a better life for yourself. You don't want to act like that Eight of Swords anymore, trapped by what you've been told, what you allow yourself to think. Final card up top, King of Cups. Remember I said the kings always make pronouncements. It's the queen. It gets down to business. Well, the King of Cups is love yourself. Love yourself. Respect yourself. That's so important because if you want to love other people and you want them to have them love you, you have to love yourself. Okay, and as I always say, this is not a narcissistic thing. Very often people go, because it really is kind of pushed out of us. Well, don't make yourself too important. It's not a question of making yourself important. It's a question of making yourself important to you, so that you have boundaries. You understand, how do I wish to be treated? How do I wish to be treated? And the people who inflate their treatment, they're narcissists, and they don't love themselves. They got a hole in their soul, and they're trying to fill it by bullying and pushing other people. It has nothing to do with love. The idea, as the king brings in this idea of self-love, it's self-worth. It's, yes, I am worthy just by being here. I am worthy. Now let me build from the positive. Again, Two of Pentacles, Two of Wands, you got to make choices. You going to stay at that Eight of Swords, or you're going to be like the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Swords and start to move forward like the Eight of Wands? Remembering that all that glitters is not gold. What you've been told, for the most part, is baloney. Just enough to distract you. And the final card up in the middle is the vice versa card. It is the Ten of Pentacles. You know what's valuable. You know what's important. You understand. This is where you leave yourself a legacy for your family, for your friends, because people help other people, for good or bad. And so the situation is, if you are an example of somebody who is positive, somebody who has a good sense of themselves, within themselves. The only person I can think of right now offhand as I'm doing this is a lady who I respect a great deal, and that's Tulsi Gabbard. If you ever had a chance to listen to Tulsi Gabbard, I'd love to see if she could run for president. Probably not get much done because everybody else would mess with her. The two parties would make sure that she got zero done. That's not the point. The point I'm making is there is a person that on appearances, I mean, I don't know her, obviously, but on appearances, she's got it together. She's got a good perspective, good, clean, spiritual perspective. She's in the 3D and the 5D. That's what we all have to try to work toward. And I'm sure she's not perfect. I'm sure she'd be the first to tell you. That's not the point. She has a pretty good idea what her sense of values are, what her sense of self-worth is, and where she's going. And that's what makes her the exception. You can find other people in your life who would fit that as well. But they do have an impact. You can do that same thing for yourself first, and then that frequency will spread to others. It makes for a better place for everybody. Just saying. So the whole idea is, don't get hooked by another distraction. Whether it's a war somewhere, whether it's balloons somewhere, whether it's the internet acting up, whether it's whatever. Don't get distracted. Focus on what is important to you as a human being. Begin with your self-worth. Love yourself, and then let that energy spread. Remember, all that glitters, right? Alrighty, so that's the reading for today. We'll be back for another tarot reading tomorrow. Hope you're there with me. Always, always. But if you're not, that's okay too. Because between now and the next time you and I have a chance to get together and manifest tarot, peace and blessings.